Welcome to 10 TV Plus. I'm Dylan Robichaud alongside Michael Behrens. And wow, weather is a little bit wacky today because we had the dense fog this morning.
Yeah.
Now we actually have some rain coming in this afternoon.
Yeah, rain coming in this afternoon. It's pretty warm out there today. It's going to be pretty mild and, well, changes coming.
And the temperatures are just all over the place. We're up, we're down, we're sideways. Today's one of those mild days, but just wait till tomorrow because it's going to be a lot colder out there.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get right into it here this afternoon. Thank you again for joining us. Now until midnight, we're dealing with showers and even the possibility of a rumble of thunder or two here as we head into the evening. Starting you off at 2 o'clock, this is mostly north of I-70, but you will notice that some of these yellow blotches on the map, those are some heavier downpours that we are tracking through the afternoon. Lighter material starts to kind of flow in here around 5 o'clock, but then by 7 o'clock, here comes that trailing cold front. And if you want my opinion on when we see the heaviest rainfall, it would be right here. 7:30, 8 o'clock when that trailing cold front slides on through. There could even be enough instability, enough energy in the upper atmosphere to provoke a thunderstorm out of this. When does it get out of here? Probably by about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock this morning. That's when things should start improving. Now, severe weather, very low-end threat. I mean, all modes of severe weather, whether you're talking tornado, wind, hail, flooding, we're not looking at anything of that caliber. But I think it's fair game. Thunder and lightning could be in the cards heading into tonight. Within the past hour, we have updated our rainfall forecast. Before, we were thinking maybe a quarter to a half inch. Now, some of the latest models are coming in showing more robust amounts, maybe closer to 3/4 of an inch. If you get stuck under one thunderstorm, I would not be surprised if you got even an inch like what we're showing out towards Washington Courthouse. So be prepared for that. We are still riding that rainfall surplus for the month of February, and all we're going to do is add on to that surplus as we have the rain moving in. By the way, despite all the cloud cover this month, this is actually our driest month of the year. Typically, as we head towards May, June, and July, heading into summertime, that's really when we get a lot of our rainfall here. And a lot of it comes from afternoon thunderstorms in the summertime. So that's pretty interesting when you think about it that way. Heading into the next few days, we dry things up on Friday. Notice that by Thursday, we have a 40% chance of rain in the evening hours, and then things become a bit more active as we head into the middle part of next week. High temperatures today are just all over the place, and the reason why is because further to the north, they're looking at a lot of showers and cloud cover. Down to the south, we have peaks of sunshine. So we're looking at about a 20-degree spread from Piketon up to Bucyrus. So if you're north of I-70, plan on a cold day. South of I-70, plan on a pretty mild day. Temperatures start to cool off a bit heading into tomorrow, falling back down to the mid-40s, and then we're back up to around 50 as we head towards Friday. Good news, though, if you don't like the wintertime cold, hey, we are past the worst of it here. Typically, end of January, early February is the coldest time of the year. Now we're starting to come out of that. Heading into February and March, now our average high is going to be closer to 40 degrees, so that is exciting. Also, your sunset tonight, promptly at 6:19 p.m. Now we have over 11 hours of daylight. Check this out, though. And in just 2 weeks from now, we have daylight saving time, so we spring forward an hour, which means that we do lose that hour of sleep. But by March 19th, we're looking at a sunset of 7:40. Even by March 12th, 7:32 p.m. will be your sunset at night. So that will be exciting. Quick reminder, though, late this week, Thursday and Friday, the best nights to get out there and take a look at that planetary alignment. You'll have Mars, Jupiter, Uranus, Venus, Neptune out there visible. Saturn and Mercury will be visible, but it's going to be very low on the horizon. So trees, buildings, any kind of obstructions could prevent you from being able to see it. I think that the brightest planets will be Venus and Jupiter, but you'll need a telescope for Uranus and Neptune because you won't be able to see it with the naked eye. As we get a look right now at your extended forecast heading into Friday, we are back up to around 50 degrees, but it comes with a trade-off. The winds are going to be wacky heading into Friday afternoon. In the morning, not bad, but take a look at this right here. I mean, some places like Bucyrus and Kenton, you guys are eyeing close to 40-mile-per-hour winds. They won't be as bad the farther south and east that you head, but I just want you to be prepared for that. And then heading into Saturday, we have the Blue Jackets game here at the Shoe. And take a look at these temperatures here. Chilly, but then look when you're leaving the game around 9 p.m. We're down to just 29 degrees, so get ready for the chill. Heading into Sunday, we've got a lot of sunshine. It is cold. It's cold for just one day and one day only. And then the pattern becomes a lot more active as we head into next week.
Yeah, getting into that spring season, getting the changing weathers through. We're kind of getting a little bit of both seasons here.
I feel like every year at this time we have this up and down roller coaster where one week it's freezing, the next week it's a lot warmer. So.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of people like the warmer weather this time of the year, Dylan, but it doesn't come without its drawbacks. And, you know, it is making things a little bit dangerous around the country, especially with regard to ice. Similar conditions here in central Ohio. I want to share these scenes from the air. This was in Massachusetts after 4 kids fell through that ice. Thankfully, they were safe. This happened in Attleboro, Massachusetts. The town's police chief confirmed that earlier this week, those kids did make it out of there safely. The father of one of the kids had this to say about what happened during the incident.
Yeah, friend fell first, and then the guy screamed, help, and also him and the other friend went to help him, and the other friend fell in, and Brandon was trying to help them and fell in as well.
There were some people nearby who also tried to help when those kids fell through. Here's what one of those first on the scene said about the situation.
The second one tried to help him and actually fall. And then we run to try to help take out the kids out of the lake. And I use like the snow broom to help them.
Those involved with the accident are hoping it serves as a teaching moment about the dangers of ice on water once we start to get out of winter and into the spring. And speaking of those dangers, I do want to go ahead and remind you quickly of what we see out there this time of the year. Really, you need good, thick, hard ice to be safe. Anything 2 inches or less is going to be a no-go. And as we get into these warmer conditions, we're not likely to have ice much thicker than that. If you're going to do ice fishing, you need at least 4 inches of ice. If you're taking any kind of snowmobile, ATV, any kind of vehicle on there, 5 to 6. If you're up to a car, this is where you start to need to get closer to a foot. And some of those heavier trucks, you really need to get over a foot for this to be safe. We're just really not going to see any kind of ice like that once we start getting into these warmer days. And the ice that does form when we get cold, it's really just going to be superficial.
Ice fishing is always one of the scariest sports that you can do because, you know, it's hard when you get on the ice to actually know. We say 4 inches is what you need.
Yeah.
How do you tell actually how thick it is?
Yeah, absolutely. You can't tell from looking at it. You got to be able to get out there with a drill, test it, make sure it's safe.
Which requires you to get on the ice.
So do it safely from off the ice if you can. Right. But again, this time of the year, not going to be a safe spot to be. Absolutely. And you know, Dylan, the melting ice, not the only danger as things start to warm up. We've been seeing some flooding in different parts of the country, specifically in the Northwest, becoming a problem thanks to this melting snow. Regan Gallo from our sister station, Creme 2 News, reports from Cheney.
Well, as the National Weather Service predicts more rain, we have rain and snow melt. And as you can see right behind me, I am on a private property in Cheney near Jensen Road, and this has completely destroyed the road, this increase in flooding.
As snow turns to slush, Mark Dixon of Cheney did not expect this very wet scene outside his home.
First moved here, we were told it could go across the road, but we haven't seen it like this in 8 years. It will go to the top of our creek, but never over. And now it's flooded into our other 2 fields, over the road and everywhere else. The
road to Dixon's home now inaccessible. Luckily, there's a backup route to his property, but it comes with a 10-minute detour. Cheney's not the only place to see flooding. The Washington State Department of Transportation says water and debris are on roadways all across eastern Washington.
I can say that this is an all-hands-on-deck situation.
WashDOT cautions drivers who are heading to work on Monday.
Do not drive through standing water over the roadway. You never know just how deep it is, and you never want to get into a situation that you're going to get your car stuck.
The National Weather Service says these are some of the places to watch out for. You can see those on your screen. And Spokane city officials encourage people to clear storm drains.
They just have things on top of them, so it's not necessarily anything underground. It's really what's happening on top of the storm drain.
But for people like Dixon, he says little will change on his property until the wet conditions finally dry up.
But you can see how fast it's running. It's been running like this for since 9 o'clock this morning.
The National Weather Service says they expect more rain between Monday and into Tuesday. We will continue our flooding and weather report. I'm reporting here in Cheney, Regan Gallo, Crime 2 News.
Thanks to Regan for that report. And you've had to deal with those flooding rains out on the West Coast before, coming from Eugene and Oregon. And I'm sure you're familiar with something called atmospheric rivers as well.
Absolutely. Very common along the West Coast this time of the year with that moisture coming in off the Pacific. And then in the summertime, they don't get anything. It's dry as a bone. So it's very seasonal.
Yeah, definitely feast and famine out there. But part of that flooding, of course, right now, like you said, those atmospheric rivers, they are working to better understand how those rivers form. And they've actually enlisted the help of the U.S. Air Force famed hurricane hunters. Reporter Kayla Moeller has that story.
I'm in a C-130, but it's not just any C-130. It's a WC-130 used to hunt hurricanes. But over the next few days, it's going to be used to hunt atmospheric rivers. A partnership spanning across several agencies, Yuba Water, the Department of Water Resources, the U.S. Air Force, and Scripps Institute of Oceanography, is working to better understand atmospheric rivers.
The one thing with California is that it's really the land of extremes. It's either feast or famine. The variability from year to year in terms of the amount of precipitation that falls is the most variable compared to anywhere else in the United States.
Too many or too few atmospheric rivers can be a determining factor of flood or drought. So researchers are learning more about them to help with the forecasts and optimize water management.
This place is a very good location for us to, one, the proximity of the atmospheric rivers for us, and to just how the weather is here. We can easily come in and come out.
Atmospheric river research flights are typically done from January through March. Teams are flying out from Mather Air Base to the Pacific Ocean.
Because the Pacific Ocean is very data sparse, and these are really the best way to go out and observe these storms. And if these forecast models don't know what's going on over the Pacific Ocean, they're not going to forecast them well as they're making landfall over California.
During a typical mission, there are about 25 dropsondes that they shoot through here to collect data about the storm.
It has a parachute on it, and as it drops through the storm, it collects a bunch of data, and it allows them to draw a vertical map of the storm.
If we've had a couple of atmospheric rivers that aren't really producing a lot of rain, then they try to conserve more water in certain areas. But if it is going to be a very heavy rainfall event, then maybe they might be talking about releasing water.
All of this data collected from the flights are sent back to weather centers to compile and compare, ultimately improving storm predictability and forecasting.
In a warming climate, we're seeing that variability is becoming even more so, and California is becoming even more dependent on these atmospheric rivers to provide the water necessary for agriculture and drinking and other uses across the state.
Finally today, let's check out some new video into us here at 10 TV. Hikers taking advantage of the freezing winter weather last Friday to get a rare glimpse inside a short-lived and potentially lethal ice cave. This happened in a glacier in the eastern portion of Switzerland. Torrential meltwater from the glacier carves out the tunnels and surges under the ice to create those cavities, enlarged further by warm air currents that flow into the gap.
Wow.
I don't know about you, but being in an ice cave like that, considering how it's formed, that seems pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong.
Ice falling from the ceiling.
I mean, the whole thing could come down at some point, because you know it's going to be melting more and more every day. I guess the bigger and more beautiful it gets, the more dangerous it gets.
Yeah, you definitely want to avoid going in it on warm days.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of some wild winter weather, surveillance video captured this dramatic moment. A firehouse in upstate New York collapsed. You can see it go in the background. We'll take a closer look at that here. This was Saturday afternoon. Members of the Barneveld Firehouse heard popping sounds and soon discovered structural damage to the station. According to a statement from the Barneveld Volunteer Fire Department, crews hustled to remove equipment out of the station. They also attempted to remove snow from the roof, but it was too late. All members of the department were out of the building before it collapsed, the firehouse said. That is wild video there. That building just completely exploded from that snowfall.
You'd think they would know better to get the snow off
Well, in
the roof.
upstate New York, too.
Yeah, yeah. You'd think that they would know better, but
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tricky sometimes with snow because I mean, depending on what the moisture content was, that could be very heavy snow for 6 inches or kind of fluffy nonsense for 6 inches. But either way, glad everyone was okay.
And it looked like the roof was tilted a little bit, but in upstate New York, you need like a really big tilt to allow the snow to fall off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Wild stuff there. That does it for us here on 10 TV Plus. Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz is here with your forecast tonight at 6 o'clock.